Good morning, comic book fans. It's Rusty again with Collector Auctions, and as you can see, I'm sitting here in a car. I just pulled up at Keep It Strange Comics down in Manassas, Virginia for my very first comic book swap meet of 2024. Now, this is being held by the same Facebook group, DMV Comic Collectors. They are a group out of mostly Northern Virginia, but by the name, it implies we're in the DC, Virginia, Maryland area here. And it is a great group of guys. They do a lot of trading on there. There's always some good information on there, especially about local comic book shows in the area. And if you guys are interested in learning more about DMV, definitely check out the link in today's video. But I'm getting ready to go into the swap meet at Keep It Strange Comics. I have never been here before, so I'm excited to see what kind of books that they actually have on the walls and see what kind of back issues they've got. But I'm also excited for the swap meet. Today I'm bringing with me 2 boxes of slabs and 1 box of raws, and we're going to see if we can make any trades. Now, I doubt that I'll do any shooting video in the store today, but I will come back and I will talk about the swap meet and how it went, and hopefully we'll have some books, whether I make trades or whether I pick up some things from the store. We'll see. But sit tight and I'll be right back. All right, guys, I made it back from Manassas, Virginia, where I went to my very first comic book swap meet of 2024. This swap meet, just like the ones in 2023, were all hosted by the Facebook group DMV Comic Collectors. Now, this group, as I said in the intro today, are pretty much as out of the DC, Northern Virginia, Southern Maryland area, but it is not exclusive to just people living in that region. It's definitely open to anybody who wants to join. There's always good information on their Facebook page. So I encourage you guys to check out that link. It's in the description of today's video, and you can find out more about the club and joining. One of the benefits that they're going to have are going to be membership cards that are going to be good when you go into some of the regional comic book shops in this area that will be offering discounts for being a member of DMV Comic Collectors. So that's definitely a pretty big incentive to join. So definitely check out their link to find out more information about that. But I also want to give a shout out to the host of this swap meet today, and that's the shop Keep It Strange Comics and Collectibles. I don't think I gave the full name when I first did the show at the very beginning. I looked it up because one of the reasons is it wasn't just Keep It Strange Comics. It's more than just a comic book shop. It wasn't big, but it had a lot of different things in there. You had comics, of course, but then you had Funkos, action figures. You had retro toys, original Star Wars toys. You had, what else did you have? You had Barbies in there. You had things for boys and girls, which was something the owner talked about, that he wanted to be able, his daughter should be represented in this store as well. That way, anybody can come in the store and enjoy different aspects of collecting hobby. There's more than just comics out there or comics related things. So it's a nice little shop. I look forward to getting back down to Manassas, maybe on my next road trip back up from West Virginia, when I'm coming back up, I may be able to stop in there. We'll see about that. But had a great time, and I encourage you guys to check out. I'll leave a link in the description below. Check out Keep It Strange Comics and Collectibles if you get a chance, and that's pretty much it. I think they said they've got a second shop, or maybe that's the first shop down in Myrtle Beach as well. And it's a much bigger shop. So if you guys are ever on vacation down there, definitely check them out down there too. But what I ended up going there today for was to look to see if I could make a trade. I ended up taking 2 boxes, short boxes of slabbed books and a short box of raw books. And what happens when you go there, they've got tables set up all over. You saw that in the video before this. Basically, just pick out a spot, put your books up, and pretty much everybody, what they did was they would just go around to everybody else's boxes and start looking through. And if you found something in somebody else's box, you would talk to them and say, hey, I'm kind of interested in these. Is there anything in my boxes that you would be interested in? And that's kind of what I did today. It took a while because I'll be honest, there was a lot of different people there, and I wasn't finding exactly things that were jumping out at me. But I did end up making a trade, and that's with Jason, who actually runs DNV Comic Collectors. And it's, as somebody said, it's probably because our taste kind of run the same. We have very similar taste. Also, we do like high-grade books. I wasn't looking for run fillers, but I was definitely looking for some keys. And Jason definitely had those. And there was a book that he wanted. And basically, I went through his box. I pulled out X amount of books and kind of added them up. And then we went over and I looked at the price that I had on the slab that he was interested in. And it was close enough. It was very close, and we just shook hands and made a deal. So, without further ado, let me pull up some of the books here. Now, I could have pretty much, these were some good books. The first one is the one I really wanted, and that's the one I started with. And it's Captain America #6, the Brubaker Epting Winter Soldier storyline. This is the first issue with when you get to see the Winter Soldier, Bucky as the Winter Soldier. But this is the variant cover that I never had. This is the Winter Soldier variant, which is a mirror image of the regular Captain America image. And if I had thought about it while I was filming this, I would stop. I would go find my graded 9.8 signed copy of the Captain America one so you could see the difference. But there it is. I'd have to go dig it out. And to be honest with you, I'm a little tired after a full day of searching through comic boxes and then coming back and filming this. But you guys know what the cover is. That's a pretty big book that the value's actually dropped a lot. Well, this book, I have seen it for the last couple of years and I've been wanting to pick it up. I have an LCS in the area that has 2 copies of this. But it was way too expensive. Even with some of their discounts that they run for their sales, I felt like it was too expensive. But for this trade, I started with this book and I went with the value that he put on there. He put $100 value on this. But I'm not really worried about the prices at this point. That's the only one I'm really going to point out. Just the fact that the ones at my LCS were much more expensive than this. So that's why I went ahead and wanted to go ahead and get this, because it was basically, if I had bought it, it would have been a lot less to begin with. Anyway, the great book right here. This is a book that if Steve Epting shows back up at Heroes Con this year like he did last year, I'll take this book and I'll clean and press it. We'll get it ready, and I'll take it back down there to Charlotte in June, and I will have Steve Epting sign it if he does appear this year, and I'll run that through CGC again, and hopefully we'd get a 9.8 and would have matching copies of issue #6 of Captain America. But after I picked this book out, Jason was saying, well, the one book he's really interested in was this particular slab book, and I'll reveal that after we go through all these books. And he said, go through if there's anything else in there. And what happened was basically, I went through and I picked out some books that maybe didn't jump out originally, but I'm going, okay, I know what he wants. I know how much I've got on that book. Let's pick some things and I'll come up and try to meet that, basically. And that's what I did. So I've got some good keys here. Some I've had, some I've never had. Here's one I've never had. It is the Archie Comics, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1. I've never had that book. And I'd be a book I'd be interested in cleaning and pressing and probably getting back into the CGC system at some point. It's not a book I necessarily want on my PC. This is a book that I wouldn't mind going ahead and getting it graded, though, for possible resale down the road. It's something I wouldn't mind having in my PC for a while, but it's a pretty nice book. Now, next up is a book that I do have in my PC. I had the original, and in the years since, I have picked up another really nice raw copy of that at some point that is in the shop to be cleaned and pressed already. But I went ahead and picked up another copy. Can't go wrong with this book right here. It is Marvel Tales #1. It is the featuring Peter Porker, the Amazing Spider-Ham, his first appearance. And of course, we became famous because of the first Miles Morales animated Spider film. And just a great book overall. It was never a key until that movie really, I mean, everybody knew this was a first appearance, and he had a short series as well, but this was, as I said, Marvel Tales #1, and it is spelled Marvel Tailes. You can see up there by my fingers right there. They've actually written right over top of Marvel Tales, Tales. So that was always a good book. I remember this from my childhood growing up, and I don't mind having a really nice raw copy back into PC. I'll put this one into a clean and press as well. This is one that I'll get into that CGC pipeline at some point. But I didn't mind adding that to this. Now, the next two are two that I never had. And I always wanted, especially this first one right here. But I just went ahead and pulled the trigger on this. This is Alias #1. This, am I right? This is the first appearance of Jessica Jones. I'm real interested to take a look at this book. It looked like it's in really nice shape. I've never read this book, so I may be real careful and just kind of thumb through it a little bit just to take a look. But that's an exciting book for me. I really enjoyed the Jessica Jones series on TV. I never really cared for her character too much in the mainstream Marvel comics. In a lot of the Jessica Jones series, I actually enjoyed a lot of those, but I definitely enjoyed just a lot, like a lot of us. The Netflix series was, for me, it was really good. I enjoyed that a lot. So, picked up Alias #1. That's the first time it's been in my PC. Now, the last one, I've got the regular copies of this, but I was a little too late to the party to get this when it came out, and then the price shot up, and I really had forgotten about it until I thumbed through Jason's boxes and I found this copy, and I said, okay, I kind of want this. This was a little bit of FOMO. I know my buddy from Moneyball Comics had this. I think he got it great. I think he got it graded too, 9.8. I'm not sure about that. I think he did. But I had to get it because I am a Haley Atwell fan. And I could go on about the Captain Carter show, which I probably will, but we'll talk about it because this is the Captain Carter #1. This is that variant cover that was very much has that classic What If look right there from the animated series, from the first run on the animated series. After that, she actually appeared in the Doctor Strange film in live action. Briefly. She had 2 parts. I'm sorry, I had to make that joke. And then she was a big part of the second season of What If. In fact, I think she was basically the main star, and I think it's really cool that they still have Haley Atwell to do that. I was a huge fan of the TV show. When they announced that they were going to do a TV series with Haley Atwell after World War II, and I was really excited, and I love the one-shot that they did that kind of got that started. The Marvel one-shots. That's one of those things, guys, you should look up. They've got them on Disney+. Look it up. The Marvel one-shots, you can see it's basically Agent Carter. It is Agent Carter, and it's a prequel to the 2 seasons that they had on TV on ABC. Well, I really enjoyed the first season because it felt like it was building up and building up. I thought by season 2 we would have really jump-started and had a storyline that was going to be really good. Maybe I just was over-anxious for it. Well, I did like some of the connections with the Black Widow program. They didn't go deep on that too much. But I will tell you this, if you guys ever watched the show, and if you liked it or not, that's your thing. But for me, what I wanted out of that show was I wanted to see her being there when they actually formed S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, the agency she was working for was a precursor to S.H.I.E.L.D., but that wasn't really the creation of S.H.I.E.L.D. I would have really liked to have seen that got off the ground with her there. And in my mind, I think it would have been a perfect, they could have made this into a movie, but I think what they should have done was they should have had the Winter Soldier brought back out by the Russians, or Hydra, and as that sleeper agent assassin that would show up. If you've watched Captain America Winter Soldier, that's one of the things they talked about. The Black Widow talked about it was a legend that he'd been around forever. Well, it's because they kept putting him back into suspended animation, and so he still remained young. Well, I think they could have done a Captain Carter story that involved him some way being broken back out as that deadly assassin. I mean, come on, guys. If you watch season 2 of What If, they basically did kind of do that right there. They brought in the Winter Soldier just like that in a way. Wasn't quite what I wanted, but that's what I kind of wanted out of the live action Agent Carter TV series. But this right here, of course, was Captain Carter, and had a little bit of FOMO for my buddy at Moneyball Comics on that, and so that's what I ended up getting. This was my stash today. This is what I ended up getting at the comic book swap meet. And you ask, well, what did you trade? Now, all these came from my buddy Jason from DNV Comic Collectors. What did I get? What did I give up in return? Well, I had a beautiful Spider-Man number 59, graded CGC 8.5. It was the first cover appearance of Mary Jane Watson. Beautiful cover. To be honest with you, I thought it should have been graded slightly higher, maybe a 9.0 or even a 9.2. I thought that was a great book. But it was definitely one of those books that was going to be a keeper for me. I'm not like Ryan from Automatic Comics that has these multi-$1,000 keeper comics. There are certain, but comics like that have a history. I have a history with, and it's because that is one of the few comics that I found at my grandparents' house when I was really young. There were three Spider-Man books that I found there as probably one of my uncles at the time when they were growing up that had been left there long in the past. And I lived next to my grandparents, and I go exploring in the attic, and there was a handful of comics. In fact, that might be a future episode where I sit down one day and I talk about the comics that mean the most to me, or the ones that I found at my grandparents' place. Some of these Silver Age books are really good. I may have to compile a list of that. But that was one of those books, Spider-Man 59. The other ones were, of course, 64, the Vulture cover on that gray wash cityscape over top of the city with the Vulture and him on a white background, basically. And then you had issue number 78, the first appearance of the Prowler. 3 really good issues to find. Now, I still have them in the PC. They're all reader copies. They were around a lot longer than I have been. So when I got that graded, I thought that was a really good grade. It's one that I will look to upgrade. I wanted to upgrade at some point anyway, so it wasn't hard for me to part with it for books like these that kind of added up to me. Basically, all this added up to about the same value. And for me, these have potential to be graded and maybe become bigger than the regular price. That's how a lot of us will buy a book and we'll get it graded, and whether we keep it or not, we do add value to the comic book. And I've talked about that forever on this channel. So that was kind of the thing right there. So anyway, guys, that's it for today. That's everything that I picked up from the comic book swap down in Manassas, Virginia. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you guys are ever interested in anything on the channel, definitely reach out to me at collectorauctions@yahoo.com or DM me on Instagram. You can also see what I currently have for sale by checking out my eBay store or check out my Shortbox page. Both of those links are in the description down below. And if you enjoyed content like this, definitely hit that like button, slap the subscribe, and click on that notification bell so you guys won't miss out on content that I put out each and every week, Mondays and Fridays at 10 a.m. All right, guys, enough of the sales pitch. I'm out of here. You have a great day, and remember, every comic has a story.